What's going on, guys? Welcome to another special episode of La Banca Podcast. Um, this is the second episode recapping the 2022 winter transfer window, and the team that we decided to go with this time, as you can see, Newcastle United. Sorry about that. Newcastle United. Obviously, we know that they've been very busy this January. Why? Because they got new ownership. Big money, big money. We talking about big money. You think Manchester City money was big? Nah, this is 10 times bigger. But with that being said, I mean, obviously, this is something that we're going to be doing pretty much a lot for the Banca podcast. Recapping the transfer windows during the winter and during the summer as well. Certain teams, obviously the busiest teams during those transfer windows, and giving our opinions and deciding whether or not the team bettered themselves, or if they're able to achieve the goals that they're setting out to achieve. So we'll see that. But with that being said, obviously, just a reminder to everybody when they see this video, we are coming back with live shows. February 10th will be our first live show. Season 2 of La Banca Podcast, February 10th at 7, with the Spanish show going first and then the English show right after, just like we always have and always will. But with that being said, let me bring along my co-host for this special episode of Newcastle's transfer window recap during the winter, and that is none other than my guy Fidel. What's going on, bud?
Hey man, it's good to see you again. It's good to hear you. It's good to be back. I'm really excited about what this new year has to offer for us, and new goals, new ambition, and of course, we always got up to date news for everybody. So, like we said, we're always here to give our opinion. You might like it, you might not, but just stay to have some fun with us, and maybe you'll talk to us in the chat a little bit later on, so that we can go ahead and know your opinions.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, obviously, this is a little different format than what we're used to. Obviously, we're always doing live shows or doing live events. When we're going to a game, or if there's a big game going on, we try to do a live show while we're watching the game and stuff like that. But this is a pre-recorded show. Obviously, we want to talk about what's going on with the transfer window that just finished in January, and obviously, Newcastle was a busy club. And for those who don't know, I mean, obviously, we know in past shows and stuff like that, you love repping Chelsea Blues and all that stuff. But you have a second Premier League team that you love and is dear and near to your heart. Before we get into Newcastle, how did Newcastle become that team for you, man?
Hey, man, conoces al colombiano, right? El Tinas Priya. So back in the days when he was back in Newcastle, it was just fun to watch a very young, hungry Colombian player who had everything against him and had so much to prove, and he stepped up. He proved so much, and he became the face of Newcastle for quite a few years. And of course, as we know, from there on, Newcastle was just going up and down, and until they just stay down in the championship division. So it's good to see them back a few years back, and I'm hoping they can stay. And these new investors, man, I mean, the public investors from Saudi Arabia, I mean, they have money. I think a lot of what people don't understand right now is that this is the next Man City, seriously, when it comes to money and spending money. And if they didn't go all out now, they will go all out in the summer. And this is the reason why a couple of these transfers were convinced to come over, because they knew that these investors were willing to put a lot of money out there for Newcastle. So stay tuned. Newcastle will soon be a Champions League top Premier League team as well.
Well, before we get into the specific names and people who and players who actually came to Newcastle during this transfer window, we obviously think of Man City, what they were before the investment group came in, the City Football Group, and what they are now. And a lot of people forget the struggles that City had when they first came in, where they had to kind of overpay for players to come in. And that's where Newcastle is right now. Newcastle, unfortunately for them, they're in a battle of their lives right now, because even though they do have all this money, they are in a serious regulation battle. I'm getting tongue-tied. Battle in the Premier League. Right now, they're currently in the 18th spot, which if the season ended today, they would be regulated to the championship, which would be no fun for a club that has big ambitions as far as their owners go. But with that being said, man, let's talk about the players that came in. Let's talk about players that came in. There was a lot of rumors, a lot of rumors. I mean, every player that was available was basically linked to Newcastle. But the players that actually came over, let's talk about the first one who actually signed over from Atletico Madrid. Right back, Kieran Trippier. Obviously, we know him from the Premier League during his time in Tottenham. He did a lot of good things in Atletico Madrid. He won a La Liga title with them. Really solidified that back four for Cholo Simeone over there. But now he's back in Newcastle as the first, that first signing that actually came over of name. I guess maybe if we're going to compare it to what Man City did, maybe they're Vincent Company, which is kind of, but this is the first big so-called name that has come over that is believing in the vision that Newcastle has, I guess shown them or whatever. What are your thoughts on Trippier? Obviously, the back line for Newcastle are in shambles. They've given up so many goals. Lost so many games late due to their defense. So to have an aggressive right back who can control the back and it can obviously produce offensively and move up offensively, it's a good player to get, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, think about it, right? What's not working for you in order for you to be in this position, right? So one of the biggest things that Newcastle is struggling with is defense, like you said. I mean, they've had 42 goals against in 19 Premier League games just this season. Now, if you talk about the fiscal year of 2021, they got scored 80 times. Since January of 2021 till December of 2021, they got scored 80 times. That is a lot of goals to consume, and within a period of 40 games, if you top notch it as far as competitive league games, right? We're not talking about FA Cup. We're not talking about any other competition. So you have to fix your line no matter what, right?
I think you and me could have put on some cleats and we could have scored on Newcastle.
Most likely would, bro. But if you look at those statistics, you have to obviously make your back line a little bit stronger. Trippier, he's going to take a lot of responsibility. It is a very good move. He always wanted to come back to England, and why not Newcastle? I mean, come on. Anybody and everybody that heard Newcastle's name after they got sold to this Saudi Arabia trust fund, everybody knew that they were going to be invested in a lot. So, of course, everybody was going to be connected. You talk about Trippier, he's got a lot of contributions for Atletico. I'm sure he's going to come with a new phase, with a new start, with a new ambition, new goals. He's going to contribute a lot to this back line. He creates a lot. He can score as well. So there's a lot of good things to look into that. You know what I mean? And if you look at it, 3 out of the 5 transfers were defense, right? So so I mean, it has to fall on the back line. You got to secure the back before you can set an attack or some kind of offense, right?
For sure, man. Let's keep it in the back line because, like I said, I mean, that stat that you just brought up, giving up 80 goals in this fiscal 2021 year in just the Premier League in itself, that's amazing. That's an unbelievable stat, to be honest. I mean, it's crazy, for a professional team that playing a high caliber league like that to be able to give up that many goals, in a fiscal year. But let's stay in the back line, man. Let's go to the other side, the left back side. Matt Targett, who comes on loan from Aston Villa. The reason he was available because Aston Villa, another club that we'll be talking about here in another episode here later on, acquired Luca Digna from Everton. So Matt Targett was available, and he decided to come back to Newcastle. What do you think about Matt Targett as far as the left back? I mean, a sturdy left back, somebody who knows the Premier League, who won't need no time to adjust. Somebody who's ready to go.
Yeah, and that's what's good about it. And then you look at the age too. He's only 26 years old, right? The only problem is he's just on loan. He's only on loan for 6 months. It kind of puts you in a perspective of what is Newcastle's goal, right? Well, first of all, their goal is to stay in the Premier League, right? Not to relegate, right? So you bring in more defenders, you bring in young guys. You might not want to risk it all the way because you don't know how they're going to perform. And Matt Targett is one of these, right? One of these that is coming on loan for 6 months. And if things work out for the best, then he's going to stay here for a longer period of time. And he's young. That's what's so good about this. Again, he can create. These are players that can go up and down. And that's what Newcastle needs, not just a midfield, but also a defensive line that can push up and leave 3 guys in the back at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So if you're playing a 4-5-1, which is what Newcastle likes to play, I mean, you still want that 4th defender on the side, whether it's left or right, to push up. So you'll be able to push another forward or 2 more forwards to keep the middle with 4 or 5 more guys. So it really helps a lot. And I think at the end of the day, Targett, it's one of the right guys. He He has more possibilities. He knows the English Premier League, and so why not, right? Why not? Why not risk it?
So you say Target hits the target?
Yes, definitely does.
That joke there. But yeah, man, obviously, if you're gonna do anything anywhere, I mean, you have to solidify the line. I mean, you can't give up 3-4 goals a game. And expect your offense to score more goals than what you're being scored upon. So to be able to cover your right back and your left back all in that transfer window is really nice. But that's not it. They went left and right, but they solidified the center as well with a hometown kid that actually was part of their academy, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Dan Burns from Brighton comes over and signs a 2.5-year deal with them for I believe reported about 16.5 million American, I believe, or euros. I get the currency mixed up. I'm sorry, but like I said, another solidified Premier League player who understands the league and understands the physicality of the league, and somebody who can help right away for Newcastle, because like I said, and like you mentioned, this defense has not only been leaking, but they've been bleeding out. And just to have fresh new faces and fresh new perspective and new charisma in the team can help a lot.
I mean, look, you talk about starters, right? If everybody was healthy, right? You talk about Shar, you talk about Lascelles, you talk about Lewis. I mean, this is just going to bring more competition to the table, and that's what the Premier League is about. I mean, there's not a reason that you can't tell me that there's no reason why Man City or Liverpool shouldn't be on top. I mean, they're on top because they have so much depth, because they have so much competition within their own players, right? So that's why you bring in these young guys. That's why you bring in these guys so the other guys who are there can burst out and show more potential of what they have, And again, if they were healthy, of course, and that's what you would look at, Yeah, you got an okay defense, but they're not standing out. They're not pulling out the colors. They're not bleeding that black and white. They're not leaving their hearts on the field. And so when you bring in more competition, the job is on the line. Are you going to feed your family next year or not? Type of thing, right? So competition is going to be there. You're going to represent the same colors, but you're always going to want to be there. So this is why Newcastle invested in these defenders. And I believe at the end of the day, it's not over. I mean, when the summer transfer comes, who knows if we're still going to be talking about these guys. We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, people, you got to start somewhere. I mean, like I said, they've been rumored to have, Diego Carlos from Sevilla, Steve Boatman from Lille, who's a high prospect of center back. I mean, obviously none of those guys came. A lot of those teams, it's hard for you to get top level talent during January, because a lot of teams are competing to try to achieve whatever goals they have going in their leagues, right?
Think about what players also want. A lot of players want to go to Champions League competitive teams, right?
Exactly.
And Newcastle's not even close, right? They're barely
they're trying to survive the Premier League.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to convince some of these players because of that, right?
Exactly.
But and that's what people don't understand when it comes to trying to bring somebody over. You really got to show them a good presentation to convince them that, hey, look, we have a project in place and we want you to be a part of it. Are you willing to risk it? Are you willing to come over? And I think that's the hard thing, that a lot of players right now, they're not willing to take risks. They want security, right? They want to go to teams that are on the top 5, 6 of the table, so that they know that they have a chance of playing Champions League. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I mean, Dan Burn might have not been their first, second, third, maybe not even their fourth option as far as players that they wanted to bring in, but he's somebody who's solidified and understands the league, and hopefully he can put a fire in that defense. That joke again, Burn. But but that being said, let's go to the offensive side of the ball. They obviously, like I said, they were linked with all different type of strikers. Aubameyang from Arsenal, who ended up going to Barcelona, was linked to Newcastle. Just a lot of different people, but they ended up with Chris Wood from Burnley. Now, before you get into him, it's kind of a game by subtraction, because Burnley is one of those teams is a direct rival right now, because they're fighting for their Premier League lives as well. But they just gave away their top scorer to you. So, I mean, even if Chris Wood doesn't score at the pace that you're hoping that he would score, as far as because I mean, you got Joe Linton, you got Maxine, you got Kalen Wilson, and Frazier and things of that nature. So, I don't know if this move was made just to kind of take away from your competition, your direct rivals at the moment, or does Chris Wood really have an opportunity here at Newcastle to really show what he can do?
I think any move is a good move for any player. A fresh start, or even if you're doing well, or even if you're the goal scorer of a team, another move is another ambition, right? Because anybody and anyone who goes to a new team always needs to prove themselves, right? It doesn't matter what you did at the previous team. It matters of how do you fit into this team? How do you fit into this way of playing? How do you fit into this colors, into this chemistry, right? 30-year-old guy, $33 million. I mean, I don't know if money talks, right? But that's kind of tempting for some of these teams. I don't know if it was worth 33 million, but again, you put it out there, right? Yeah, you're taking them away from me, and now I'm losing, and you're ahead. But at the same time, the money, right? That's what it really comes down to a lot of times for a lot of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you look at the table right now, it's about six clubs that are fighting for 3 spots in the Premier League, right? And unfortunately, Burnley is looking like one of those clubs that are going to be regulated. And I mean, obviously, when you go down, you lose a lot of money, and the only way to make money back up is by selling your players. And they just said, you know what? Let's get ahead of the ball here, maybe, and let's sell him. And they're paying above market value for Chris Wood. So now I think it's a good piece of business on their side. But I mean, obviously staying up in the Premier League would be the best type of business for Burnley. But I mean, that's neither here nor there as far as for Newcastle. But it's going to be interesting to see what kind of production you get out of Chris Wood as far as him as a player, because you're not worried about the reasons why you're brought over. You just know that you're here now. He's there, and he wants to play, and he wants to be a part of this project, and he wants to be a part of the when we look back at the Newcastle 10 years from now, like we do with Man City now, is Chris Wood gonna be Carlos Tevez, or he's gonna be Robinho for I mean, those were the 2 biggest signings, and unfortunately for Man City, Tevez was a rock star, and Robinho was a bust,
Well, you look at who you have up front. You have Wilson, and also think about this, right? Wilson plays alone up top, right?
He does.
So I mean, with a 4-5-1, you're gonna need you're gonna need somebody to come in the last 20-30 minutes to contribute, to make that last minute goal that need to tie a game or to win a game, right? And maybe Wood is not a sub, but maybe Wilson would be a good sub. I don't know. So trying things, it's never easy, and risking is always the only option for some of these teams. Now, you talk about Burnley letting them go and being at the bottom of the table. Hey, at the end of the day, some teams have already accepted their position and where they're at, and they're already getting ready for next season. If you ask me about Burnley, they're already getting ready for how they're going to do in regulation in championship next year. There's nothing else to talk about. They're just suiting up. They're picking up some money to prepare for the following season, period.
For sure. Now, I saved this guy for last because obviously not only was he the most expensive transfer for Newcastle coming in, but the most recognized, the most potential. And to be honest, I think he's gonna be that guy where, like I said, when we look back 10 years from now, he was one of those pioneers.
Right.
He was the Vincent Company. He was that Carlos Tevez, or David Silva that started the whole thing, right? Bruno Guimaraes from Lyon came over for a reported 50 million euro transfer fee, plus obviously bonuses and things of that nature, to solidify that midfield, that 4-5-1 you talk of. And he's an instant starter. He's honestly the best player on that team, coming in already. I mean, obviously, I know there's other players, who can, Miguel Almiron, Saint Maximin, obviously is the best player on the Newcastle prior. He still might be, but Bruno ups that talent level. He ups that level of competition and kind of solidifies that midfield for Newcastle and for Smith Howe. What do you think about him as a player? and what do you think he brings to the table for Newcastle? As far as distribution, being that box to box midfielder that can transition when Newcastle loses the ball to be able to get the ball back and to be able to go push forward and start the attack. What do you think about him?
So you talk about, showing a little spark, right? How do you start a spark so that others can follow, right? Well, one way is that, you bring a great player, a young player who can be your future, maybe your face. I mean, before this guy, who would you call the face of Newcastle? I mean, you probably look at Richie, right? Richie, everybody loved Richie, and he's a left back, like, wow, and he's always getting injured, right? So who's your face to get you out there to promote yourself? This is it. The problem with this guy and Bruno Guimaraes is that he wanted to go to a team that was top notch.
Yeah, he was linked to Arsenal. I know.
Yeah, he wanted to go to a team that was top notch and a team that had chances of, like, again, Champions League, right? But then it helps so much in the middle. It helps Almiron to just stand out even more, because sometimes you will look at Newcastle and you see Almiron creating, but you didn't see any other type of support. You didn't see nobody else giving it to him so that he can even make a better, easier pass. And this is the guy. I believe this is the guy that's going to stand out. If he stays healthy, he's young, he's 24. He has lungs like nobody else. So I think Bruno Guimaraes just brings a whole nother plate to the table. And that's going to bring in a lot of the group of players in the summer transfer window. So I'm really excited about this call. And I just hope they take care of him. I hope they build around him, right? And I hope they give him what they promised, right? Because I think that's the main reason why they brought him in, because they told him, hey, listen, we are willing to go all out in the summer. So now that if we get you, we can build around you in every sense of the word with all our money. And so that sounds tempting when you have somebody with a lot of money telling you, hey, come here, man, we're going to make your job a lot easier. Watch out.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, and look, he's a Brazilian international. Right now, he's with Brazil in the World Cup qualifying. He's played yesterday. I think he was on the bench. I'm not sure if he played. But he's there. He's talking. People are asking him. That's the thing. When you become a big money, when you get sold for big money like that, you're gonna have players reach out to you, ask you questions like, "Hey, why did you go over there when you could have gone over here?" Or what's this or this and that, whatever. After he's acclimated himself in Newcastle and he's played with the squad and things like that, and everything goes well. When he goes back again to Brazil with his other teammates, and they ask him, "Hey, man, how's it going over there? How, this and that, whatever," depending on how Newcastle's doing, word of mouth spreads, and then people start getting interested because now you have somebody that's there that that you can play with, that knows how to play.
Yeah.
With that being said, man, obviously we're going to talk about incoming players and outgoing players, but Newcastle didn't let anybody go really as far as significance. So we're going to go straight to the goals, man. Obviously, Newcastle, one of the goals, the main goal is to stay in the Premier League.
True.
So with these additions that they did, what are the chances? Put a percentage on it. What do you think the chances are that they stay in the Premier League?
No, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, you solidify the midfield, you solidify the back, and you bring a little taste to the front. Things are going to work out for them in the long run. I mean, you still have Almiron in the middle. You have the two long staffs. You have Hendricks. You have Hayden. I mean, you got Willock. You have enough pieces to work with now. You probably even let some of these guys breathe a little bit, right? Remember, the Premier League is one of those most physical leagues there is. So taking a lot of punches, a lot of hits left and right, game after game, it's tough. It's tough for you to go out there to perform, and a lot of these guys go out there and perform injured, Yeah. So I'm hoping for the best, and I hope they stay on top, and we'll see at the end of the summer.
No, for sure, man. Well, we'll see, man. It's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously, I watch a lot of Premier League. You watch a lot of Premier League. I watch for Arsenal. You watch for Chelsea. But now it's going to be interesting to see Newcastle, to see what happens with them, because if they're able to start off regulation and be able to stay on the Premier League, they're going to do big things. But if they get regulated to the championship, that's going to be something crazy. That's going to
definitely. It's going to be bad. But you never know.
With that being said, guys, thank you for staying for the show. Like I said, this will be a series that we're going to be running here every time the transfer window ends. But with that being said, man, thanks, man. Have a good night.
You got it, guys. Hey, hit us up on Twitter, and also give us a like and a subscribe over here.